everyone, this is CY. Thank you for joining me today. Right now it's 10:30 p.m. and I'm just about to start my roasting of coffee. And today we're going to do about maybe 3 batches of coffee. And I have selected the batch of coffee and the origin to be roasted, which I'll explain and describe to you the origin, the country that produces it, the elevation, the tasting note, and things like that. And after all the sampling roasting has been done, I'm going to go on to tasting of the coffee. And I have actually stored them in small sachets, and I've labeled them so that at one go I'm going to make coffee and I'm going to taste it. And let me know in the comment section down below whether you prefer to do it in a live chat session while you see me making coffee and drink it and describe to you the tasting note, or would you prefer to be done in the pre-recorded version. Yeah, please let me know in the comment section down below what you liked the next the coffee tasting video to be done. Would you prefer to be live or pre-recorded? Let me know. Personally, I think that live will be good, whereby I'll just sit here, grind coffee. I'll just make filtered coffee on all the coffee that I've roasted. So far, all the coffee I've roasted is roasted up to about 15% development, which is actually towards the medium roast side for espresso. Because I was actually the Singapore Coffee Association actually asked me to roast for espresso, so I went up to about 15 to 16% of development. Usually 5 to 6% is actually meant for the light roast, and if you want to go for medium roast, it's about 15 to 16% into development. What I mean by development is the amount of time I spend on roasting after first crack. So if you drop a beans about 30 to 40 seconds after first crack, you should reach about 5 to 6% of the development. And usually after that, it will be a very light roast. And as the time progresses, if you didn't drop the beans, you allow the developmental time to be stretched, and you'll reach what we call the medium roast, whereby it's about 15%. And if you go all the way to about 25% development, that should be around the time for the second crack to happen, which means you are going to dark roast. So yep, that is the kind of a range. In my personal experience, I've never go on to the dark side. Maybe one day I will, right? Let's try the coffee. And yeah, I'll describe the kind of tasting note I'll be getting from the light roast coffee versus the medium roast. And if I do not know whether I want to go all to a dark. There's nothing wrong with the dark roast, just that personally I don't like the burnt taste from the carbon, or the burnt taste of the sugar that caramelizes after a prolonged heating. Right, I just don't like the flavor. I prefer sweet and acidity, fruity, and the body, right, if I go to medium. So let's get on to today's first batch of roasting. Alright, I'm doing lot 13, right? So let me read to you what is this lot 13 coffee is from. Right, this lot 13 is actually from Laos, right? And it's from this company called Outspan Bolivans Limited. The farm is Petlamka Estate, Bolivan Plateau, right? Origin, of course, is Laos. The crop year is 2020-2021. Processing method is natural. Okay, that's interesting. Soil condition is volcanic. Plantation size is actually pretty big. It's 227 hectares. And the elevation is not very high. It's about 1,350 above sea level. And the tasting note is very, very interesting. The cupping note is actually banana, minty tobacco, red wine, cacao nibs, tropical fruits, plum, and apple. So it has got a smoky tobacco taste. At the same time, it has, if you picked up tasting notes such as red wine, you know that it's going to be very sweet and acidic. Towards a grape kind of that tasting note, which is what I get from my Yunnan coffee bean, the red wine series, which is, by the way, if you have not tried it, you should get in touch with me if you're in Singapore. We do roast the Yunnan coffee bean for light for filter coffee and medium for espresso. A few of my customers has tried it and they love it, right? Very limited stock, so if you're interested, right, please get in touch with me. I can do 2 batches. One batch is 225 grams for light roast for filtered coffee, and 225 grams or half a pound for the espresso, right? Or you prefer whichever way, you can let me know, because we do roasting on demand. Enough of introduction. The carving score is 83.25, not as very high, but then it's still above the specialty grade, right? Anything above 80 is actually specialty. So the charging temperature, I'm going to charge it at 180 degrees Celsius, and I will try to keep the roasting to be within maybe 10 to 12 minutes if I can, which means the first stage I will switch on higher power. So maybe again, after a minute of soaking, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step up. Instead of increasing the power to 50-60%, I'm going to do it at 70%, and after half a minute I'll increase to 80, after half a minute I'll increase to 90, after half a minute I'll pick at 100%, and I'll let the roast to reach about 145 to 150 degrees Celsius. That's where the dry ends will be, and then I will start to drop the temperature from 100%, I'll drop to maybe 90%, 80%, 70%, and maintain probably around 60 to 50%, depending on how the hour is at the time. So that's my plan. And of course, after it reach first crack, I'll vent out the exhaust, maybe about 40 to 50%, and let's see how the roasting it is. Right, again, I'm going to use Artisan to roast. No, sorry, I'm going to do manual roast by recording on the Artisan. In the future video, I'm going to show you how I replicate the Artisan. That means how I actually use the Artisan to do the auto roast. Right, remember, the M10 Sniper Pro is not a fully automatic roasting machine. Right, it doesn't, when I say auto roast, doesn't mean that you press a button and it auto roast everything for you. You will follow the heating curve that you have pre-recorded. It's PID, which means you will follow the curve that you have recorded previously. You'll match it and follow exactly, and if you have done your documentation properly, right, if that means you actually inform the Artisan at what time you are doing what, they will actually prompt you to do whatever exactly at the time. So yeah, when they prompt you, this is the manual part whereby you actually have to control on your screen, right? Let's say they say, oh, increase heating power to 60%, right? You have to click increase to 60%. Increase to 70%, you have to click increase to 70%. So Artisan will actually prompt you to actually change all this setting, right? Wow, I didn't know that I've been talking for 8 minutes already, so let's get started. So before we do Artisan, I have to make sure that it's connected to my roaster, right? I didn't really show this in my previous video. So the M10 Sniper Pro have to use its own M10 Sniper Pro Artisan setting, right? The original Artisan software that you download from the website that will not work with the M10 or M2. You have to get the M2 M10 specific version from us distributor before you can actually connect properly, so that all the options are enabled for you. So right now I'm going to connect. You go to configuration, right, go to device. We will set all the filters to 95%. Right, and click OK. Sorry, I'm using right again. My Bluetooth COM port is COM port 3. Right, my baud rate is 9006. And click OK. And how do you know whether your laptop has connected with the Bluetooth on the M10 Pro? Is when you click on, right, it should display the temperature here after a short while. Yep, you can see that it's now displaying the exhaust temperature is 185 and the bin temperature is about 176 degrees Celsius. So this is okay. So I'm going to close the front. You can see that I'm actually opening the front, because when you close the front gate or front door, the bin temperature will get a bit too high. So I want to make sure that the bin temperature is slightly below the air temperature, and when I close it, right, it should go nicely up to about 180 to 185, right? So right now I'm going to charge it. So let's start. Before that, let's reset the curve. Again, remember I'm going to soak it. So let's start the timer. Okay, let's start here. Start the timer, and then I will heat off. Oh wait, there's a mistake. I haven't measured my beans yet. Okay, close. Let's go back to original. Let's off this. Reset. Discard, right? Because I don't want to save the profile. So again, I must keep this front door open so that the bean temperature will not get too high. Let's measure 1 kg of the beans here, right? This is actually the coffee beans from Laos. From visual inspection, the beans is pretty nice. It's smaller in size. The distribution of the beans is actually quite good, right? There's actually not many not so good beans. Okay, there's a few here and there, but it is on the whole, by visual inspection, it is a pretty good batch of beans from Laos. So let me measure 1 kg, right? Please bear with me if I keep using right, because really this is a habit that is really hard for me to kick off. I'll be measuring 1 kg exactly. Okay, that's exactly 1 kg. Wow, this is a really natural process. I can smell the fermenty smell from the green coffee bean. I actually prefer the natural process one rather than the wash one. Yeah, even though because I like the fermenty smell, like the geisha beans, I really love it. And my Yunnan beans is actually 75% to 80% resembling the geisha bean with the fermenty and the smell. Like what my good friend Thomas say, the geisha bean smells like the I don't know if you know this, in Chinese we call it 豆腐乳, right? It's actually the bean curd, the fermented bean curd that we eat. Especially good with porridges. Okay, so let's get started. So okay, let's stand by the beans. Okay, I'm going to close it, heat up to 100% to the temperature that I want to drop my beans. So let's wait for a short while. It should get out very quickly. Let's reset the time, right? Reset the curve, and let's just wait for. Let's switch on the Artisan. Make sure it's connected. Okay, the temperature should pop up really fast. Yep, it is now registering temperature. Now I just have to wait for it to. Okay, let me reduce this to. Okay, 185 should be good enough. I'll just charge at 185 degrees Celsius. Okay, so now it's reached 185. So let's start the timer. Heat off. Let's shut down the heat. Let's charge the temperature. Sorry, charge the beans, not the temperature. We'll be letting it soak for about a minute. We have just reached about 30 seconds. (40 seconds). (50 seconds). I'm gonna heat to 70%, right? So now I've started heating at 70%. My drum is at 80%. Let's record it as well. My exhaust fan is actually off because I don't want to introduce drawing of the exhaust air at this moment, because I want the heat to be a good source of heat to get into the coffee bean itself. Okay, so now I'll increase to 80%. Okay, until we increase to 90%. %. So now we will not do anything else. We will just monitor so that we'll reach the dry end at about 5 minutes. The rate of roast is 15 degrees Celsius per minute. So I should be we will be slightly we will stay slightly longer as what we have planned to. I hope I can reach the dry end at about 5+ minutes or so. Right now the bean temperature is about 110 degrees Celsius, right? It should be still green, but let's take a look. Yep, you can see that the beans are still very green. This is now about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. We are reaching the bean temperature at about 118 degrees Celsius. Our RR is about 15.5 degrees Celsius per minute. There's another way that you can control the RR, right? Is you charge the beans at a higher temperature. That means you allow the bean temperature, instead of charging at 185 air temperature, you can adjust to maybe 190 to 195, so that you can actually pull up the temperature on the first stage of drying faster, which means you can do it in a shorter time. I will be trying that in the future batches to see whether I can actually shorten the initial drying phase to be within about 5 to 5.5 minutes. It seems that we're going to stretch all the way to 6 minutes plus, because now it is 5 minutes and 20 seconds. We are at about 131 degrees Celsius on the bean temperature. Right, it is still green, but I can see that the beans are slightly turning yellowish. Right, I'm not too sure whether you can see. Right, it's still green, but then some are turning yellow. You can see that the Artisan is start to dip down. The reason why it dip is because once it reaches 185 degrees Celsius, our thermostat is actually set at 185. Once we reach 185, it will turn off the power, and the heating curve the exhaust temperature will start to come down a little bit. Then once the software detects that the temperature has dropped below the set temperature, which is 185, it will start to heat up again. So at this stage, it will go slightly up and down, right? But it's very normal. Now we are at 140. We are at 6 minutes plus. Right, you can see that it's turning yellow. Right, I think we have already reached dry end, about 150 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to inform the Artisan that my dry end has reached, and I'll start to tune down the power. I'll drop to 80% now. Right, because at this stage, second stage of the development, I don't want it to develop too fast. And now I'm going to step down the power. Reducing it to 70%. ROR is about 10 degrees per minute, which is pretty good. Or 5 degrees Celsius per half a minute on my manual screen. We are looking at about 8 minutes. Okay, we're going to reduce it to 60%. And I'll probably be keeping the roasting temperature at about 60%. I mean the heat, not temperature, sorry. We are reaching about 160 degrees Celsius. So you see the condition of the beans. It's turning brown. You can see the beans are turning brown. Okay, my Samsung camera tends to produce a slightly whiter color, so that it doesn't really show very well the true color of the coffee beans. I'm not too sure whether iPhone will do a better job to show the natural color. Right, if you're an iPhone user, please let me know. Because for camera's sake, I may actually get an iPhone to shoot the video. I'm not too sure whether I should do that. We are reaching at about 170 degrees. Our roasting time is 9 minutes 30 seconds. Our first crack should be very soon. Color is very nice. So now I'll not talk, right? Let's hear the first crack happening. We'll just wait 10 minutes. Wow, see the color? Should happen very soon. First crack. That's the first bean. Let's wait for a while more. Alright, first crack started. So we're going to develop to 15%. So I'm now going to vent out the exhaust. 40% will do. Okay, I'll pull out about 60% of the exhaust now. I see the color. Very nice color now. 10% development, another 5% will drop the beans. To see the color again. %13.5%. Okay, that's going to drop. Let me bring you closer to see the coffee. See that the roast is very even. This is the manual screen. Right, this is the Artisan. It's properly recorded. So now I'm just going to wait for the bean to cool. Alright, so I will not bore you with the rest of the video. I'm going to continue with the second batch of coffee. Just a sneak peek. The second one I'm going to roast is have I done this before? I think I've done 17 before, so I'm not doing 17. This is actually lot 29. It's less than a kg, so let me find out. Okay, let's do so let me see. I think I just did a lot. Anyway, I'll figure out what I'm going to roast next. Stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you very soon. This is CY. If you have not subscribed to my channel, right, please remember to subscribe and like my videos. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next roasting video. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and see you very soon.